The Randy Karraker Show, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker. Your St. Louis Blues get a victory. And, after 7 in a row, we don't have a number of the day today, unfortunately. Well,
technically, High Definition says the number of the day is 1.
The number of the day is 1 because the Blues did win. They knocked off the Edmonton Oilers, and 2 things happened. Yes.
The number of the day, it was mighty fun. The number of the day
is 1.
There we go.
Okay, so a couple of things about
make up our own.
The Blues game. Yeah, we just did. I think that it's really important to note 2 things. Number 1, Edmonton is a really good team, and coming back against them from down 2-0 is a big deal. But for me, the biggest thing, Matthew, was that neither Connor McDavid nor Leon Draisaitl had a shot on goal. How often does that happen in a game where the Oilers are playing, that neither of those guys get a shot? Now, McDavid did have a couple of assists.
I don't know neither. I know
awesome.
I know how many times it hasn't happened for McDavid in his career. It was the 28th time in 700 plus games.
There you go.
I don't have neither on that one. You stumped me on that stat.
I would guess that it's very, very few.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
so a great job by the Blues overall. A great job by the lines. Nice to see Dvorsky get his first in the NHL. Obviously, when you win and beat a team like Edmonton, your goalie has to play well, and Binnington played well. It was a huge win. To snap a 7-game losing streak is really important. And Pius Suter, the free agent signing, got the winner in the 3rd period. It was all good. Relative to what we've seen, any win is going to be good.
Yeah, I don't know if we can really use that for the measuring stick, Randy, considering how bad it's been and how disappointing it's been for most of that time. I don't know if we can really use that as the measuring stick, but I see what you're going for.
Yeah, I'm just looking for sunshine lollipops.
Sunshine lollipops and rainbows. Okay.
Yep. High Definition. Bulls pulled a Jaden Daniels and did a hard turnaround last night.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Oh no!
High Definition.
Oh no! No!
Yep.
That's bad. We don't want to make that joke.
Yep. Nominal in the Lou. Congratulations, Mason. Him and JJ will be the stars for many years to come. JJ Weatherholt might wind up being a star. Nason Wynn is a Gold Glover, as we mentioned yesterday on the show, and he mentioned during his press conference he needs to improve from an offensive standpoint. But if there are 2 players that the Cardinals have right now that you say, okay, they have the ability to be real stars. Not that Brendan Donovan is not, because he's an all-star, but he's not a guy that's loaded with a tool that Wynn has. Wynn has the great arm. He's got great speed. Weatherholt has the great hit tool. Pretty good defensive player. Brendan Donovan, outstanding defensive player. Not great, but good power. Not great, but good speed. I think those 2 will be stars for years to come. And the Cardinals need a couple of those other guys. And one of the things that you're seeing with the Blues, and these 2 franchises are so alike, it's actually kind of remarkable when you think about Doug Armstrong spending a couple of years waiting in the wings for Larry Plow to retire and then taking over as the president of hockey operations and then the general manager. Bloom taking over after waiting in the wings for 2 years and getting his opportunity with the Cardinals. And right now, both of them are in the same spot because, Matthew, I don't think that either franchise, Blues or Cardinals, have what I would classify as a great player. A lot of good players on both teams, but I don't think there's a great player on either.
I think that's a fair statement. Yeah. I mean, you look at, would you say Robert Thomas?
I think he's really good.
Him and Mason Wynn kind of feel like
he's not elite.
Player.
I guess elite might be a better word for this.
Oh, here we go. I think him and Mason Wynn do kind of feel like comparable players. I feel like, was Vladimir Tarasenko, was Ryan O'Reilly?
Vladimir Tarasenko was,
yeah.
Robert
Thomas might have a 100-point season.
Yeah,
he plays all 82 games.
Tarasenko was an electrifying goal scorer. He was the 2nd leading goal scorer in the league for a 4-year period. Yeah. He was on the cover of NHL 2K. He was at the time when the Blues finished winning the Stanley Cup in 2019. He was 4th all time in goals per game in the playoffs.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, he was, and he made electrifying moves. The games at Madison Square Garden where he had the huge goals, the 2 goals to start his career. He had unusual abilities. I don't think there's anybody right now. And taking nothing away from Thomas, who might one day be a 100-point guy, but I don't think right now that you could classify him as elite. I don't think we put him as a top 5 center in the league right now, would we?
No.
So,
Tarasenko would hit that point. That's fair.
Yeah. So I like what they did last night. I like where they're headed, but I don't think at this point that we can say the Blues are great because they don't have that bell cow. And I don't know if somebody will turn into that guy. I don't know if Dylan Holloway will turn into that guy. Who else? I don't think Dvorsky is going to be that guy. And so what you need to have is everybody on your team to be above average and everybody on your team to play at a really high level. That's what happened in 2019. And by the way, you did have a couple of elite players in Bouwmeester and Pietrangelo at that point. They just weren't forwards. But you need to have some elite players at their position if you're going to win a Stanley Cup. If you want to argue with me, you may feel free to do so. But I can tell you this, in gold medal games and international competition, in the last 2 minutes, if Canada had a 1-goal lead or a 2-goal lead, you know who was on the ice for Canada in the last 2 minutes of those games? It was Alex Pietrangelo and Joey Bouwmeester. So if the whole country is saying that we want this pair on the ice when the chips are down for our country, to preserve our way of life, then that to me tells me that those are great players. And one of the reasons that Canada is a free country right now is because Pietrangelo and Bouwmeester helped them win gold medals.
What the hell? What does that have to do with them being a free country?
So they would have been attacked. They would have been attacked by Russia if Russia would have beat them in the gold medal game or something.
I never thought I'd ever want to do a segment on geopolitics with Randy Karraker.
But here we go.
I kind of really want to do this.
I want to play them all in football with all of our football all-stars.
I think that'd go pretty well for us.
I would hope so. However, in international football competition, we don't do particularly well. That's why we need our all-stars.
That scandalized you when the youth team,
Japan?
when the youth team lost to Japan.
What's going on here?
That really
what are
bothered
we
me,
doing?
didn't it? That you lost a lot of faith in America that day, I think.
I did lose a lot of faith in America.
Let's talk about Dalibor Dvorsky because I'll tell you what, I loved
skill guy, isn't he?
Everything I saw from him. That was an awesome game.
Yeah, he has ability. There's no doubt.
Look at this. I drew up this I made this little graphic for the show today. It's just a little still shot. All right, look how he's winding up the one-timer. Look where the puck is for Justin Falk. And then also look at all the traffic in the net. And then you see that little square, that little yellow box in the top right-hand corner. That's where he puts the puck in the net. Look at the what he's shooting through. Look at where he's at. Look at how he's winding up before. I mean, this is an incredible. Talk about something that even Vladimir Tarasenko didn't have.
No,
this is an elite wind up shot. Everything from Dalibor Dvorsky last night. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And it is hard to be a great one-timer guy. Perron turned out to be a great one-timer guy. Remember Mike Hoffman for that year? Man, he had a great one-timer. But that makes such a difference if you're on the power play. And now you know why he's getting power play time, because look at who's around him too. That's what happened during Alex Ovechkin's whole career.
Yeah.
Is he'd set up right there at the dot and nobody would cover him. And then he would just bang the one-timer home. And that's how he scored a bunch of his goals. So if Dvorsky can wind up being that guy, that'd be pretty awesome. Yeah. And I think he can do a lot of things. It's not, he's not just a goal scorer. He can be an offensive performer. He can be a disher. He can be a finisher. And he's just got to play the rest of the game that Jim Montgomery wants.
God, I love everything about this screenshot. That was such an absolute rip from Dalibor Dvorsky. Having a guy with that level of skill, that's impressive.
Yeah. And
that's a game changer.
It is. And to get him with the 10th pick in the draft, and the Blues have more on the way, not, again, guys that are the first pick in the draft that are going to be showing up at the age of 18, but people that have abilities. That Pekarchik, who's down in Springfield, is another guy with a ton of ability and has a chance to help out the Blues in the future. The question is, what happens with the Blues right now? Are the Blues equipped to bounce back from what has been a horrific start that had them tied for last in the league to go on a run like they did last year and win games against good teams? Because ultimately they're going to get into the meat of the schedule. They're going to have a much tougher schedule coming up. They kind of let the soft part of their schedule get away from them, and now they've got the tougher part coming up. Can they rise to that level and play with the Colorados? And they already beat Dallas once, but Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, can they play with those teams?
The best players on this roster are going to still have to step up because the young players had a great game last night, but you're also seeing the veterans, the players who really need to step up, finally do so. And really quickly, Samuel Howe in the chat, I love this. He says, I want to know in the real regular season, which is after the World Series. October games don't really count.
That'd be nice.
They wouldn't though. I thought the defensive game from the top line, which included Pavel Buchnevich, was huge against their top pairing, or their top line, I should say. I know Connor McDavid got 2 assists, but Jim Montgomery's calling that a win. Him not getting any shots on goals, like you mentioned before, and obviously the other lines did well as well because Leon Draisaitl also did not have a shot on goal. He did not get any assists, so that he might actually got one. I think they might have been shifting up lines. My apologies. I
don't think he did.
I don't think he did, but I didn't get a full look at the box score. I might have been incorrect there.
I'm pretty sure that you are correct, sir.
But anyhow, them stepping up on the defensive side, the fact that Broberg and Parayko were the pairing that faced off against that top line of the Oilers the most, and to see them have that kind of success, that's the turn. The young players are stepping up, but it's been the older players who have really let this team down, the veteran players, the leaders of this team that have kind of let this team down to start this season. They turned it around. They had a great game, and I'm not surprised it's when Robert Thomas was returning.
And I wonder if Jim Montgomery might be inclined to give Broberg and Parayko even more minutes. And by the way, Justin Falk played well last night. 21-38 for Broberg, 21-24 for Parayko. So basically 21 and a half minutes for both guys.
Here's my thing. I mean, I know we've been talking about the goalie a lot, but I mean, the schedule is also condensed for the skaters. And I'm pretty sure Parayko is going to be playing Parayko's playing in the Olympics. I don't know about Broberg because I don't know, but I feel like the depth of Sweden probably means he's not playing in the Olympics. But I feel like it might be a little bit of a tough go if you just keep asking more and more minutes of Parayko and Broberg, especially with Colton, who's already playing so many minutes. I mean, he is in tip-top shape. He can do it. But I just wonder if you're playing with a little bit of fire for potentially an injury risk.
The reason that I wonder is because, for example, last night, both Fowler and Falk got more. Falk played 24 minutes last night, 24-18, and Parayko played 21-24. So we're talking 3 more minutes for Justin Falk than Colton Parayko.
How many of those?
And I think that's happened in each of the last couple of games.
How many of those? One of those things might be is that I think isn't Falk getting a power?
He is.
Falk's getting power play.
Yeah, he did on your screenshot there.
Yeah, exactly.
And he played a minute 15 of power play time, didn't get any time on the PK, and Parayko got 49 seconds on the PP, and also Parayko got 24 seconds on the power play and 8 seconds on the penalty kill.
And then that the one thing there that jumps out is I'm okay with that because Justin Falk, by the numbers, much better player on the power play than he is in 5-on-5 hockey right now.
Yeah, he is.
He's struggling right now in 5-on-5 hockey. But
still 3 more minutes than Parayko.
Yeah,
but anyway, the Blues came away with a win, and Jim Montgomery knows what he's doing. He knows more about what he's doing than we do. And my only question is, and as you mentioned, Parayko very well could wind up in the Olympics. And you still, Broberg is basically in his second full year. We tend to forget that. He's played in the Stanley Cup Finals, but he's in his second full year in the NHL. He doesn't have those 200 games that Doug Armstrong talks about for a guy like Mailloux. And obviously Justin Falk does have those games, and maybe he's going with the experienced hand here.
Okay. NHL.com actually just put out a Canadian national team projection for the Olympics on October 29th.
Okay.
And the defensemen they list, they have 8 defensemen right now listed. It's Drew Doughty, Thomas Harley, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Travis Sanheim, Shea Theodore, Devin Taves, and Colton Parayko.
Okay.
So I just want to throw that out there. I want to hear from Jim Montgomery and Robert Thomas. But before we do that, can you tell a little bit about everybody what they can expect when you and Bernie talk every week?
Well, we talk about everything going on in the sports world and talk a lot of college football. We talk a lot of Cardinals. We're actually going to talk to Chaim Bloom on Thursday. I'm going to talk to Bloom here on the Randy Karraker Show. So we'll review that conversation that we have with the Cardinals Pobo when we talk on Friday. It's always fun to talk to Bernie Miklasz. We've been doing it for a long time, and there's a lot coming up. Mizzou taking on third-ranked Texas A&M over at Furrow Field on Saturday. We'll preview that one. The Arizona Cardinals coming away with a victory on Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about that one. We always like it when the Cowboys lose. And one thing I was talking with Wilson about when I came in, the NFL trade deadline used to be boring, and it's not anymore. Logan Wilson getting traded to the Cowboys earlier this morning. Then the Cowboys trade for Quinnen Williams from the Jets. They give up a first and a second and a player. Sauce Gardner goes from the Jets to the Colts for a couple of picks. A wild NFL trade deadline, and it used to never be like this. The NFL didn't have trade deadlines like hockey or basketball or baseball. Well, now that things have been loosened up and the cap is a little bit different and teams know how to manipulate the cap a little bit more, we have a situation where we can talk about an incredible NFL trade deadline. Jacoby Myers, by the way, goes to the Jaguars too. So there's a lot to talk about with Bernie coming up this week, and you will be able to see it. We'll drop it on Friday morning probably. And don't forget, we've got a lot coming your way. Chaim Bloom with us on the Randy Karraker Show at 3:15 on Thursday. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're going to talk to or hear from Jim Montgomery and Robert Thomas in regards to last night's win over the Edmonton Oilers and what that means for your St. Louis Blues.
Like I was saying, these guys have been building a big foundation for our team and being more consistent and getting back to the basics. And, that showed tonight. Just the way we were able to, like, even their second goal, we come out that period, we're playing really well. We have a ton of chances, and, they block a shot and end up with a 4-on-2 and they're able to score, and we just keep going back at them. And, I think just for me to jump in the lineup and have the guys playing like that, have that mentality, wasn't too hard for me.
We needed it, but I think, we're a process-oriented team, and we believe that if our things that we believe that we have to be good at, whether it's habits, details, or certain parts of our process of the game, winning net front battles, and then the results that come from that is grade A chances, and then game management was really good tonight. And that, we believe, leads to good results. And this, for me, this was the third good hockey game in a row that we've played. And if we keep playing like this, we're going to win a lot of hockey games.
Two things.
Oh, no, well, let's start with this. He's going to lose his Canadian card here until he starts saying process.
You're right. I always like process over
process.
results.
Yeah, come on. He's calling it process rather than process.
Process. That's a good point.
Yeah.
The two things that I took away from there, and that's why I grouped these two clips together, was Robert Thomas talking about the foundation that the team's built, and then how they kind of they figured out, like as I kind of put here in the title, the formula of what this team's supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of had to just come in and put the finishing little touch on it. And then adding that into Montgomery's comment about these are three good hockey games in a row, and then if they keep playing like this, they are going to win a lot of hockey games. That's a team that, unlike some of these other clips we were playing last week, you're starting to get some confidence.
And we start to think, because the Blues have been able to turn it around a few times, that they can turn things on a dime. But if you go back to when the Blues turned it around under Berube, remember, he was hired in November, and they really didn't turn it around until January, and then went on the long winning streak in February. Last year, when Montgomery took over, it was in November. And then they go through December, January, February, and then it wasn't really until they got back from the Four Nations face-off that they really got rolling. And it is a process. When guys get into bad habits, it's hard to change those bad habits.
Coach. I think it's more of a process.
Yeah. Oh, definitely a process.
How did you take offense?
I did take offense to his using process rather than process.
Oh, you should take offense to the fact I've had the wrong background for this damn segment. I'm sorry.
What was it?
Let's get a Blues background. There we go. There we go. Where they won a game last night. My apologies.
Now, here's the thing that I am concerned about, and I think we all, as Blues fans, we should be concerned about it. So last night you beat Edmonton. Now you go on the road. You've got you go to Washington. And Wednesday and Thursday, Washington and Buffalo. I'm being a little St. Louis-y here.
Okay.
Washington and Buffalo. And it's still early in the season. Buffalo hasn't given up yet. I prefer
Buffalo hasn't given up yet.
No, don't you like it better when
That's so cruel.
but it's true.
Just like where are we at in the season? Has Buffalo given up yet? God bless America.
Yeah, well,
I don't feel like competing and sell your damn franchise.
They've got a better record than the Blues. They're 5-4-3.
That's fair.
So that is
They have
kind of troubling.
You could argue that in Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson, they might have two better superstars in the Blues.
I would say that that's fair, but they are the Buffalo Sabres.
Fair.
And their owner is Terry Pegula, who is a cranky guy. So I hate the Sabres. And then you've got the Washington Capitals, who are 6-5-1. So they're better than the Blues so far. But hopefully the Blues are reaching a point in their evolution with their process that they're going to be able to beat these teams. But it's hard to win on the road in the NHL, especially when things aren't going well. Then you come home and you've got Seattle. It's a long homestand. And Blues played a lot of road games late, right? But Seattle Saturday night, next Tuesday night, after a couple of practices, you've got Calgary. That should be a game that you win. Then a couple of other days off before you have back-to-backers against the Flyers and Vegas. So what you need to do out of that group of games, you have 12 points available, 2, 4, 6, 8. I'd like to get 10 of those 12 points, man. I know that's greedy, but Washington, Buffalo, and then Seattle at home, Calgary at home, Flyers at home. And then if they lose to Vegas at home, so be it. But I would, I'd like to get 10 out of those 12 points.
I think you got to look over the hill, Randy, because what's coming after
I know
the
scary.
VGK, you go on an East Coast road trip of 5 games, Leafs, Flyers, Islanders, Rangers, Devils.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. You will have your hands full, even going to Philly. And Philly is not great. They're still in the rebuild process. But you know the Chief will have his team ready. He always does. The Islanders are always tough, especially at home. The Rangers are a really good hockey team, and the Devils are always tough. So, yeah, you're going to have your hands full. So that's why if you're the Blues, you'd like to get on a little bit of a roll and stock up some points and maybe get back in the race before you go on the road, because it's going to be a roller coaster ride. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, some of those ones like the Flames, that's when you got to circle. You absolutely have to win that one. You got to take one of the two Flyers games. Can't let them take that one in your barn and then go on the road as part of a long run and lose that one. The Flames are terrible, and that's a home game. The Flames, their coach asked ChatGPT what the identity of the team is.
And what did ChatGPT say?
I'm not sure, but if I was the owner, I would have fired him that freaking day. I'm sorry, buddy. We have analysts, we have pro scouts who you could say, hey,
it's not working.
Before you head out to Edmonton next week, do me a favor, watch one of our games and do a pro scout analysis for our team. What do we look like? What are we supposed to be? Or is it matching for what I think we are?
Maybe
don't use the AI. So anyway, if you lose to a coach who's using AI, I think at that point I will start worrying.
Yeah. And by the way, we get a chat that the Buffalo club may have a goalie that wants to get back at the Blues, but Colton Ellis has only played one game for them. I guess he's up with them still at the moment, but their main goalie is Alex. I call him Léon, as in France, but his real name is Alex Lyon.
There you go.
But he's been their main guy, and he's got a 2.90 goals against and a save percentage of 912. Ellis, by the way, was terrific in the game he played. 2.00 goals against in his game with a 935 save percentage. But I would guess that we don't see Colton Ellis when the Blues go to Buffy.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that either. We did see, I like this from Samuel Howe. Binner wins on Wednesday, so you go Hofer on Thursday, and then we are streaking. How about that? You confident? You're confident in Joel Hofer on the road against the Caps tomorrow?
Yeah, I am fine with
Thursday.
him.
My bad. I can't do math or days.
How about you? I'm at some point.
Wait, no.
He's going to play better. Yeah. So it is.
They have one tomorrow. Back-to-back, yeah.
Tomorrow, Washington. Yeah, I think I give Binnington Buffalo.
Yeah,
and then Hofer against Ovi in the Capitals. I think I would do that. How about you? Do you have? Yeah, but Binner or Hofer, HOFer at Buffalo would be my play.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Binner wins on Wednesday against the Capitals. Hofer on Thursday. Yeah, I'm good with that one. Why not?
Okay. Uncle Sam, maybe the Blues should worry about winning games over worrying about the Olympics. I don't know the players individually. I think it's us and the media and fans that are worried more about the Olympics. I don't think the players are. I know they would all like to play for the Olympic teams. Karraker is on it. Well, probably going to be on it. Binner will probably be the goalie. I think it's going to be hard for Robert Thomas to make it. But if that's a motivator, then I will take it. If the players are going to make the team based upon their performance in the National Hockey League early this season, then I want them to perform at as high a level as possible. And I'm not at all offended if they're playing well so that they can make the Canadian Olympic team.
I think it's ignorant to hear and read Montgomery bring it up on the goaltending side as to why the Olympic part, the Olympics and the scheduling around the Olympics matter. And then to look at a guy like Colton Parayko, and somebody said, well, top defensemen do get 25 minutes per game. Okay, but Colton Parayko's career high is 23 minutes 45 average time on ice.
Can you get back that group of defensemen that they NHL.com?
Oh yes, I have it right here.
Okay, let's get those names again.
Drew Doughty.
More minute. Well, no, even minutes with Parayko.
He's also pretty old.
Yeah.
Thomas Harley.
Even.
Kel McCarr.
Way more.
Josh Morrissey.
Way more.
Travis Sanheim.
Way more. Well, maybe a little more.
Shea Theodore.
Way more.
Devin Taves.
Way more. So you got 4 guys that I think in the Olympics will play more than Parayko. I'm not really concerned about the number of minutes that he's going to play. They've got so many good defensemen on that team that even if they spread it out evenly and they're only going to dress 6, with that group right there, he might not even dress. But you're going to spread the minutes out. Nobody's going to be playing 25 minutes for the Canadian Olympic team on defense.
That's a good point. And for me, it's more just, everyone's playing the condensed schedule. Everyone's playing this condensed schedule.
Yeah.
And some people don't have to then go back on a bunch of flights and fly to the Olympics and then potentially dress and go to practices and work out and things like that. That's why this is a material thing, because Joel Hofer gets to go home during the Olympic break. Well, whereas Jordan Binnington has to pack all his stuff and he has to get on another flight and he has to go across time zones and all these things. He doesn't have to. He gets to. You're right, but I'm more talking about him.
He's going to Italy.
You're not wrong. It's going to be beautiful, but it is a factor in the equation. The thing for me is that Colton Parayko probably could play 25 minutes a night. The guy's in perfect. The guy's in perfect shape. Yeah. He's young. He's in his athletic prime. There's no reason he couldn't play 25 minutes a night. So we're probably making a little bit too much out of nothing.
Yeah, I think so. One thing that you don't want to make too much of, because it's going to happen on December 1st, is the arrival of DraftKings here in Missouri. I want you to be ready because the wait's almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. And new Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when DraftKings goes live in Missouri, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Now, starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. Again, starting December 17th, you can create that account in Missouri, get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything that you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings officially does go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with a sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live in Missouri December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, it is STL Sports Central, and don't forget to use that promo code STL Sports.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh,
great to see.
I love this.
Arizona Cardinals are 8-1 against Dallas in the last 9 games they've played, the Cowboys. Now, as you may know, Wilson and Matthew already know. And I know that some of you are aware that I have jumped on the Arizona Cardinals bandwagon. I am, yeah.
Good for you.
And
good
here's
for
the thing.
you.
When they get good, okay, well, if they get good, I will not be accused of being a bandwagon jumper. I'm not going to be somebody who people say, oh, you only jumped on the bandwagon when they got good. No, I am a fan, and I was a fan last night when they were beating up on the Cowboys. I was concerned that the Cowboys might come back. Had a little tiny bit of emotional investment in the Arizona Cardinals, but it was primarily because they were beating up on the Cowboys. Cowboys, by the way, made a couple of trades today at the deadline. They got Logan Wilson for a 7th rounder from Cincinnati. And then the Jets traded Quinnen Williams for a 1 and a 2 and a player to Dallas. So Dallas basically has traded Micah Parsons for Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, and a number 1, which isn't bad, and a player.
The argument is that your running defense is bad. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good trade.
It is. Yeah. Now I don't know if those two will get to the passer like Micah Parsons does, but at least they're doing something. And Mozzie Smith goes to the Jets. He's not much. He hasn't done much yet.
Not much, but obviously I think the big trade that everyone was reacting to, Randy, is Sauce Gardner going to the Colts.
Yeah, for 2 first-rounders. He had signed a 4-year contract with the Jets in July. He gets traded 4 months later. And you can never go wrong adding a premier player. He's first-team All-Pro player. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He's going to make the Colts better. He's going to be better than what they had. And Indianapolis already has a really good offensive line. Their quarterback's performing at a high level. They're running the ball well. They could use a game-breaking receiver, but they've got a nice tight end now. And the big thing that they needed was help in the defensive backfield, and they added that in Sauce Gardner. This is a move that you don't make. You don't give up 2 first-rounders for a cornerback unless you think that you're a cornerback away. And I would think that the entire Colts organization from the top down, when they made this trade and signed off on it, they were saying, okay, yeah, we can do something here. We have the capability to win our division, but then beat anybody in our conference. I don't know if that's true. I don't think they can, but they've made moves at least to make their fans believe and their other players believe that they're all in.
Yeah, it seems like an all-in move for the Colts. One thing that jumped out to me, though, was there have been plenty of trades for multiple first-round picks, but this one does look a little bit different here, Randy. And so going back to 2009, I've put together the list of multiple first-round trades. I might have missed 1 or 2, but what's jumping out to you in these first 6 trades and then the ones that the Colts made today?
I would say that the Browns trade for Deshaun Watson didn't really work out.
That's one factor, is that, a couple of these trades didn't work out, but I think there's something that all 6 of the first trades have in common that the final one does not. One of these things is not like the other.
Okay. You got a pass rusher, a quarterback, a left tackle, a pass rusher, and a quarterback. Yeah, you've got and what are the big things you need in football these days? You need to protect the quarterback. You need to have the quarterback. You need to protect the quarterback, and you need to get after the quarterback. Those are the 3 primary needs in football in 2025.
And yet, some of these ones have been big swings that haven't worked out. First round picks for quarterbacks, Jay Cutler didn't really work out. Stafford worked well.
Cutler went to an NFC Championship game,
and
he got hurt.
That's true.
In that game.
Stafford obviously worked out.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson certainly didn't. We still don't know about Micah Parsons, Laremy Tunsil. For the Dolphins, he played very well. Was a great left tackle for them, but they weren't really able to put anything around him for the most part. So the first time we've really seen a multiple first round pick trade for outside of those core 3 positions. And like you said, if that's the only difference between the Colts in winning and losing, it's a great trade. But if Daniel Jones turns sour next year, if he goes whole Cinderella into a pumpkin,
all of a
sudden things are different.
Then they've got Anthony Richards.
Well, no, yeah, okay, sure they do. Yeah, they have him, but that doesn't really That's putting one of the ugly stepdaughters in the carriage.
Yeah.
We're going to keep this analogy going.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'll text Rick Venturi about this, but if they think that was the move that they needed to put him over the top, regardless of whether it does, fans are going to say, okay, our team is bought in. The other players are going to say, okay, our team is bought in. They improved themselves immensely, and you aren't going to get a cornerback as good as Sauce Gardner in this year's draft with as low as they're going to pick. So then essentially what you're giving up is a pick in 2027.
And honestly, I love the build of what this team kind of is, because they can shut down half of the field. And I know Sauce Gardner will acknowledge Sauce Gardner hasn't been the player the last year and a half that he was like the first 2+ years of his career, but he's still been extremely good. Let me find some numbers that I saw tweeted out earlier today. But the Colts also have one of the best defensive tackle pairings in the league. I'd argue their defensive tackle pairing with Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner is still even better than the one the Cowboys have put together. And yet now they add a cornerback. So you talk about being able to close off half of the field in the passing game, shut out the middle of the field in the run game. You're giving your defensive coordinator, you're giving him play sets on a silver platter.
And by the way, that's Lou Anarumo, who's one of the most creative defensive coordinators in the league.
Great point.
They do have a really good defense. Pay is able to get after the quarterback. I don't know much about Latu, but even though they don't have the big names, their defense has been playing at a pretty high level. So to get Sauce Gardner and pair him with Edwards on the other side, pretty darn good. So congratulations to them.
Good for
the
Colts.
Congratulations to the Cowboys too, because Logan Wilson's a good player. Get him for number 7 is pretty good. And to get Kenny Clark, that was a good move, even though you gave up Parsons. And Quentin Williams is one of the best defensive tackles in the entire league. So for me, even though I hate the Cowboys, I think that those are, since the Parsons trade, they've made good moves. Now, what they're going to have to do somewhere along the line is get themselves an edge rusher, because it's not going to be Clowney. He's not going to be a guy. It's not going to be Fowler. He's not going to be the guy that is a consistent edge rusher for you. So Dallas is going to need to find a legitimate guy coming off the edge.
Yeah, that's fair. By the way, the numbers here from Next Gen Stats. Sauce Gardner has faced opponents' number 1 receivers on 45.5% of his coverage snaps, which is the NFL's highest rate. And when targeted, he has forced tight window throws, which is less than 1 yard of separation, at a 52% rate, which also leads the league. He beats out Pat Surtain II by about 0.5% on that one.
So he is questionable for his first game in a Colts uniform, but you just take him when he's ready. By the way, how bad, and Dick Vermeil always used to talk about this, how the percentage of players that hold out from training camp that then get injured is extremely high, because players just aren't prepared to play football. So if you have a guy that holds out, and Parsons has had his issues with his back, you look at a guy like Terry McLaurin, who was out for all of training camp and he's been hurt. Seems like it would be worth it to just sign the guy and get him into camp on the first day of camp, rather than argue over $100,000 or something like that.
I think it would be. Yeah, I think, but also you could argue from the players' consideration, why argue about $100,000 now when a bad season and an injury could cost you, $5 or $6 million on the free agent market?
I'm just talking about from the team standpoint.
No, it's fair.
I get it from the player's standpoint, but from the team standpoint, I don't think that they should make a big deal of it. If you have the cap room, why have the same thing with Trey Hendrickson, by the way. He was a hold-in. He didn't participate in camp at all. He's been hurt all year. He's
a different one because it was a egregious amount of money that they were trying to keep from him, in my opinion. But like the $100,000 one, again, I think there's an argument from the team's perspective. It's like, just eat the $100,000, come work out, stay healthy, and you'll make more.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I see it from both perspectives.
I just want to keep, if I'm a team, especially if I'm a team that has a chance to win. Washington was a team that has a chance to win. San Francisco Washington, Cincinnati was a team that had a chance to win. Who else did I mention? Oh, Parsons. And obviously Dallas held him out, but both Green Bay and Dallas. all these teams that have a chance to win that are missing out on key players because they allowed them to hold out. It's just not worth it.
Any other niche trades that really jumped out to you? The one for me had to be the Seahawks getting Rashid Shaheed from the Saints, because if you've been watching it slowly but surely, you've been talking about Sam Darnold. But getting to watch the Seahawks the last 2 weeks, man, the way that they manipulate the deep ball is unbelievable. Sam Darnold's an incredible deep ball passer. He's got something special on those deep and intermediate routes to Jackson Smith and Jigba. And you add one of the most dangerous speed threats in the NFL from the wide receiver spot in Rashid Shaheed. That is a low-key dangerous trade. And it's also like a perfect trade for why this new era of the NFL trade deadline is so special, because this feels kind of like a baseball or an NBA trade where a team clearly has a need and has a system that would allow a player to flourish, and a team is wasting away and not going to be successful. So why do they need that player? And for years and decades in the NFL, we never saw these kind of trades.
No.
And yet now it's a perfect trade for both teams. It's a perfect trade for the NFL. It makes a fun team even more fun, gives the NFL some pub. This is a perfect trade. I love this new era of the NFL trade deadline.
I do too. And you asked about which trades I like.
Yeah, which one?
It was Jacksonville getting Jacoby Myers.
Oh, that's a great
from
one
the
too.
Raiders, because their first round pick, Travis Hunter, is hurt. He's on IR. Brian Thomas has done nothing this year. Their great rookie receiver from last year. Trevor Lawrence really hasn't had a guy to throw to on the outside. And so Jacoby Myers provides that for them. They give up a 4th rounder and a 6th rounder in the 26th draft.
In fairness to the Brian Thomas camp, I'd argue that Travis Thomas doesn't have any more people to get in the hospital.
Travis Hunter?
Travis Hunter? No, I'm saying Trevor Lawrence. He doesn't have any more hospital balls to throw, essentially.
Oh, that's true.
Brian Thomas is sitting here like, poor Jacoby Myers. That is a great move. We know, going back to the all these time at Jacksonville, going back to Clemson and things like that. Trevor Lawrence loves those speedy little slot guys, and Jacoby Myers will be great for that.
And by the way, the team that has had the best trade deadline is the Super Bowl champions. They picked up 2 corners. Yesterday they got Jair Alexander, formerly of the Packers. He had been with Baltimore, and they get him. They also had acquired earlier cornerback from the Jets, and so and then they get Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins yesterday too, the pass rusher. So with the addition of 2 corners and getting Jalen Phillips, their defense is going to be a snootful.
That I saw the Jair Alexander move, and that was the one where I was kind of like, okay, is this just a little bit too much new blood mid-season for a team to kind of withstand? Because we talk about in the offseason, and heck, the Eagles are a primary example of it in the last decade, bringing in too many free agents, bringing in too many trades, and not being able to kind of cohesively build the team. And they made a couple of trades early in the season as well. I mean, I feel like they've traded
Tank Bigsby.
I feel like they traded for like 6 or 7 guys at this point this year.
Well, they brought back Brandon Graham.
Yeah,
they lost him, but their cornerbacks have been decimated by injury. So to get Carter and Alexander, I don't think that those are guys that they're planning on being key components of a playoff team. No. But because you have injuries now, you need good bodies, and those are good bodies to plug in. Phillips is a legit big-time pass rusher, and Zadarius Smith retired for them. They lost Sweat after last season to Arizona, and obviously Graham is just coming back. He was retired. I don't even know if he's going to be able to do what he needs to do. So they were desperate for a big-time pass rusher, and he's apparently going to be – Phillips is apparently going to be the guy. So I'm with you, though. The NFL trade deadline now has matched baseball. It's matched basketball. It's matched hockey with the lead up to it and what happens on deadline day. I think it's pretty cool. I'm a fan now. And I think on NFL Network I haven't watched, but I think they actually do a trade deadline special, which 10 years ago you wouldn't have even dreamed of because no trades happened on the deadline.
They couldn't have done it. Why do you think this is? You think it's just a sophistication to the salary cap?
I think it is. Yeah. Teams, two things happen. Number one, the salary cap is so high now that almost every team has cap space, but the way contracts are constructed now is teams give themselves wiggle room to be able to make trades and the money that is absorbed into the cap isn't as egregious as it was previously. So, yeah, the use of the cap, the size of the cap, and then the players that get traded. I mean, you aren't seeing Kirk Cousins get traded for a reason, because his contract is outrageous, and it's hard to move a guy like that during the season. But there are a lot of players out there, especially non-quarterbacks, that aren't making $40 million a year that you can move.
And to that point, that's actually why I think we saw one of the deals happen today, which is the extension for Sauce Gardner has been agreed to, but all that money is 2 years away. So the Colts can take him right now. They don't take any cap hit, and now they can build over the next 2 years to form the cap around that. And I'd argue it also makes it easier for them to make the deal in the first place, because you give up 2 first-round picks because you know that you have Sauce Gardner for 4+ years.
Right.
Whereas if it's just his rookie deal left, yes, he's cheap, but we haven't had the contract extension. His agent hasn't agreed with it. Now it's locked in, baby. You're here. You're here, and I think that probably helped both the Jets and the Colts get this deal done.
And I wonder what the hell the Jets are thinking. What a horrible organization that is. You've got 2 good young players, and you move both of them. And I get that Aaron Glenn is the new coach, and they've got a new GM, and they're trying to move forward. But they're going back to the bottom. If you're a fan of the Jets, you've already been to the bottom. You've had the top pick or a top 5 pick in the draft so often. And you have 2 young building blocks, especially guys that are under contract. And you decide, you know what, we're going to move on from these guys, and we're going to try to build through the draft again. At some point, you got to get fed up. And I'll say this, for anybody who thinks that the NFL is rigged, and I would love to have evidence that the NFL is rigged. Believe me, I would love for the NFL to be to crumble. And Benny Cunningham, former Rams running back, says that the games were scripted. But here's the thing. If you were the National Football League, if you're Roger Goodell, and you're the 32 owners. By the way, you'd have to get the 32 owners on board to agree for Kansas City to be a dynasty. I don't know about that. But if you were going to fix a league, if you're a commissioner of a league, why would you have your 2 New York teams be so bad for so long? That would make no sense, would it?
It's always kind of been one of the problems with the theory.
Yeah.
But that's what they want you to think, because they know that you know that they know that we know that they know.
Okay.
Bub says, so
and by the way, the Bears have been bad for a long time too. The Bears
also
they're bouncing back, but there's your number 3 market, and they have not been good since 2006 they went to the Super Bowl. And I think 2007 is really the last time that they had a really good team.
It's always been my theory also for large chunks of the NBA, because it's like, yeah, I can buy in the theory that they rigged 1 lottery for the Knicks, but they just decided never to do it again.
Well, why would you do that? do 1 for the Knicks and 2 for the Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And really, Cleveland, you're gonna go that you're gonna go in,
really.
You're gonna go in the bag for Cleveland that heavily.
Oh yeah, but we know they're gonna screw it up. Who was the kid? Bennett from UNLV?
It was Bennett, and then they also got, so they had Kyrie, then they got Bennett, and then they got Andrew Wiggins after they blew up Bennett. Bubs. So you're saying a salary cap makes things more interesting. Some other leagues can learn from this. MLB.
Bubs, you are so 100% correct. And I know that we can say, well, Toronto competed with the Dodgers in the World Series, but who won the World Series? And Jason Stark wrote a piece at The Athletic about how the Dodgers winning is good for baseball and not bad for baseball. And he was looking at it from the Dodgers perspective, and maybe from his own perspective. But here's my thing. He was talking about what the Dodgers are doing and how there's nothing wrong and how it's great that they're great, which in many instances is not bad. But here's my argument. Because the Dodgers are doing what they're doing with the revenues that they have, without a salary cap, without real across the board revenue sharing, there are things that other franchises can't do. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Minnesota, the Royals. I will throw St. Louis into this mix. I will throw Baltimore into this mix. I will throw Pittsburgh into this mix. What the Dodgers are doing, hey, it's cool that they have a super team, and it's cool that they're spending so much money, and it's awesome for their fans. But for people to say, well, every team could do that, every team could spend, and everybody can do that. No, they can't. That's the problem. When you have 18 million eyes on your TVs and you have the potential to have that many viewers on your network, and then you have another city, 2.5 million, 2.8 million potential eyes, the number of dollars that you're going to get from TV revenue doesn't even compare. And so I don't think, Matthew, it's as much about what the Dodgers are doing, but it's what the rest of baseball, most of the rest of baseball, is incapable of doing. The Dodgers spent almost $500 million on salaries and paying for luxury tax this year. The Cardinals' revenues were over $300 million total revenue for the entire franchise, like $370 million, 373, something like that. Again, the Dodgers paid their players almost $500 million. The Cardinals' entire take was about $370. So the point is, if the Cardinals paid 100% of their revenue to the players, didn't have a minor league system, didn't pay any insurance, didn't pay any travel, didn't have a front office, didn't have any ticket sellers, just all of their revenue went to players, they still wouldn't match the Dodgers payroll. And that is the problem with baseball right now, is that the Dodgers can make huge mistakes. They can give people like Tanner Scott and people like Blake Trinan and people like Kirby Yates a ton of money to be on their team and not even use them. And the other thing that they're able to do is give a guy like Blake Snell a $182 million contract and say, yeah, we're going to treat you differently this year. You're probably not going to pitch like in June, July, or August. You just hang loose until September, and then we'll get you into shape for the playoffs. They're able to do that, and it worked for them. And so that's why I have, and Bubs, I agree with you 100%, an issue with baseball and not having revenue sharing first. So that's the owner part of the problem. They've got to fix that. And then a salary cap and floor, by the way. A floor is a necessity, obviously, because what you're going to do when you do a salary cap, 50% of the money goes to the players, 50% of the money goes to the owners. It's a partnership. And so that's the way it's going to have to work there.
Bubs also says Dodgers luxury tax was higher than 13 Major League Baseball teams' total payrolls.
Yeah, what they're doing is great for them and great for their fans, but it's also outrageous. And at some point, and this used to be something that other owners would tell George Steinbrenner, hey, look, you got to play somebody. You got to have somebody to play, and you're going to run these teams out of business, because at some point it does get disheartening.
Yes.
Like I read John Heyman that the Dodgers are interested in signing Kyle Tucker to a $500 million contract.
Jesus.
So they've got Betts at $350 million. They've got Ohtani at $700 million. They've got Freddie Freeman at a couple $100 million. They've got Yamamoto at $325. They've got Snell at 182. They've got Glasnow at 138.
Here's my thing. My comparison is like, if I was playing a video game right now, I would be so bored being the Dodgers.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and
Where's the fun in it?
But they like to bludgeon people, and they can. I'll be really interested to see. And Mark Walter of the Dodgers is a great owner. Now he's the official owner of the Lakers. It'll be really interesting to see what the difference is between the Lakers working within the confines, presumably, of a salary cap, and the Dodgers, who don't have a salary cap to deal with. But my bottom line here is, I don't blame the Dodgers. I blame the institution of baseball.
Yes,
and ultimately, I can see why maybe of the 30 franchises, why fans of 20 teams would be disheartened. By the way, the Rangers are going to a couple of guys, Adolis Garcia, they're going to non-tender. Jung, their third baseman, they're going to non-tender. They're cutting back on salary. Mike Maddox decided not to go back to the Rangers because they aren't going to spend money. This is kind of
interesting,
weird, but he went to the Angels.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if Skip didn't want Mike Maddox there or not, but he left the Rangers. And it's kind of weird that he retired from the Cardinals, and here he is, 5 years later, still moving around and pitching coaching.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for me, and I was talking about this morning with Kat and Cam, for me, it's simple. Right now, with the way that baseball is working, if we accelerate 5 years or however long the service time would be for this particular player, right now, even if the Pittsburgh Pirates wanted to get in on the bidding war to keep Paul Skeens, they're not going to be in on it.
No.
Because the Dodgers and the Yankees are going to say $500 million worth of bidding starts. And they're going to go, well, that's not
well,
good.
even
$300 million,
325,
350, 350, whatever
right.
it's going to be.
Yep.
And the Pirates are going to say, well, that's not tenable. The TV money we put together, the ticket sales we can't build a roster if we play one guy that much money over the next 13 years. We can't do it. And that's why you have to figure something out. Because while the NBA isn't perfect, the fact of the matter is the Milwaukee Bucks were able to sign Giannis Antetokounmpo to a second contract. And so it's not perfect, and the NBA has their own problems, and they've screwed up their own special rules to make sure that mid-range teams can compete. But the bottom line is they made moves, and because of that, we saw the Milwaukee Bucks win a championship, and they've gotten multiple years, and they were able to re-up with a guy like Miles Turner this offseason because money is still available, even though they have one of the top 5 players in the league. Right now, for a mid-market team, that isn't a viable option unless you shoot the moon, take a huge risk, pay a guy $140 million guaranteed when he's 22 years old, and then you get him till he's 28 years old, and you don't have to pay him $1 billion. But that's again a team having to shoot the moon and risk $170 million when their payroll might be viably like $200 million. And that's a pretty big amount of money.
And yeah, one of the other things, by the way, that the MLB folks should do is have their version of bird rights. There's a rule named after Larry Bird, and I found it right here on AI because I wanted to make sure I got it right for you. Bird rights allow a team to re-sign its own free agents by exceeding the cap, a valuable team-building tool named after Larry Bird. These rights are earned by a player after playing for the same team for a specific number of consecutive seasons, which can be 2 years for early bird rights or 3 for full bird rights. The specific rules allow teams to offer a player contract with higher annual raises and up to 5 years, even if they are over the salary cap. That's something that if the Major League Baseball Players Association would ever agree to a cap, that I think would be a necessity.
And that's another way that they use the bird rights is it comes into play with max contracts, and that if you re-sign a max contract deal with the team that drafted or with the team that you were with, you can sign a higher max contract deal than if you will go on the market. So instead of signing with the team that you're currently with, you can sign a 5-year deal worth $50 million per year. But if you go on the market, you can only sign a 4-year deal worth like $48 million per year. So there's incentivizing being able to stay where you're at. And I'm not saying Major League Baseball even needs to go that far.
But you know what they could do though, Matthew, is they could call them Skeens rights.
That's funny.
Because that's if you're going to have revenue sharing and the ability of a team to pay a player more than any other team can pay him so that you can keep your stars in town. That's what baseball needs to do. And they need to do it for franchises like Pittsburgh with a guy like Paul Skeens.
And the problem is Skeens is going to hear that and going to go, no. Where's the part in the CBA where the Skeens deal is players are still allowed to sign for $1 billion? That's what I want to be known for. And that's why we're going to get a lockout, is because players like Paul Skeens, while they are the perfect template for why this needs to change, they themselves, and I don't blame them, want to be able to sign for the New York Yankees for $500 million. And that's why we're going to go to a lockout, is because the agents of players like Skeens and Trout and Bryce Harper and the owners of the Dodgers and the Yankees and all the teams that would sign those deals are all going to say we refuse, and then everyone else is going to have to say please, we need to play baseball and not do this in a broken manner. And that's why we're going to not have baseball for a little bit.
Here is the essence of the problem that baseball has right now. Your executive committee for the Major League Baseball Players Association, the executive subcommittee, Marcus Semien making more than $100 million, Chris Bassett, monster contract with the Toronto Blue Jays, Jake Cronenworth, kind of a surpriser, and Paul Skeens is an associate player rep. But the executive committee, the group of players that is going to be sitting in the negotiations for the Baseball Players Association, is made up of really high-priced players. And I think they need to have some mid-level players that have an opportunity to maybe help out those players that are middle of the pack, the middle class that has been kind of ruled out of Major League Baseball now. I think they need a representative.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And there's a lot of reasons that baseball needs to fix their economics. Another one would be for me, a guy like Mason Wynn, who, if you saw, Bernie Miklasz did a fantastic video on how much value that Mason Wynn has already provided the Cardinals. And I think it's pretty fascinating that a guy like Mason Wynn is how many years away from actually hitting free agency right now? What would it be? 4 more years away from hitting free agency. And he's provided the Cardinals with roughly $50 million in player value the last 2 years. But yet he has to sit there and make $800,000 for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and that's one of the things.
Broken system. Yeah, in both ways, in every way possible, they need to redo this system.
Right. And one of the things that you need to do, because in any negotiation, you'd hope reasonable heads would prevail and there would be a little give and take in a collective bargaining situation. One of the things you do, my opinion, and maybe they should just bring me in and say, guys, this is the way it's going to be. We are going to have a salary cap. It's going to be a 50-50 split. You're going to have a salary floor as well. But the Randy plan includes you players, you get arbitration after 2 years, you get free agency after 4. Okay. You owners, you get bird rights. So you get the ability, if you want to keep Paul Skeens, Bob Nutting, and you probably don't because you don't spend any money anyway. But if you want to keep a player, you get bird rights. Players, you're going to get 50% of the revenue. Owners, you only have to spend 91% during the course of a 2-year period, but you do have to get up to 100% of the available revenue to players that you have spent over the course of a 5-year period. That way, if you're a team like the Cardinals, you can have a group of young players, have people like Gray and Contreras and stuff like that, so you can reach that salary floor. And then when your young players get better, you go up to the salary cap, and then obviously you have to make some choices about who you're going to keep when you get good. I think it'd be very smart of Rob Manfred and Tony Clark to give me a call or shoot me a text or email me, and I will join hey, I'll be the negotiator. You don't need to negotiate at all. I'll just give you a plan that'll be great for everybody.
There we go. Randy, one more thing before we close out the show.
Yes.
We have some more breaking news in the NFL.
Bulletin apparently
15 hours ago, Jonathan Gannon said what about his QB situation?
He said that when Kyler Murray is healthy, he's still that's my quarterback. That's what he said.
Okay, well, QB news out of Arizona, they're sticking with Jacoby Brissett for next weekend.
There we go. It doesn't matter how healthy Kyler Murray's little tiny foot gets. It appears that he has lost his job due to injury. Now,
and Jonathan Gannon really doesn't want to say that.
No, but here's a couple of things about this. Number one, we tend to forget the game that I was at was the game that Kyler Murray injured his foot.
Oh,
he injured his foot when he got hit in the face with a snap that hit him in the face mask. That's when he injured his foot.
How did he injure his foot?
I don't know, but he did. Here's the other thing.
It's like one of those things where like they say that if you like get a foot massage, you can fix pain in your head. Maybe it's like a reverse thing where you can get hit in your head so hard it hurts your foot.
Oh, that very well could be. That might be the case. The other thing, my concern in being a quasi Cardinal fan was that a notoriously cheap organization would go to the coach and say, "Hey, you got to play the guy that's making the money. Wins be damned." Well, clearly that didn't happen. I hope Michael Bidwill went to Gannon and said, "Look, you play the guy that gives you the best chance to win. Don't worry about how much we're paying Kyler Murray. We're paying our quarterback position X amount of dollars, but we're paying that position to win games, and Brissett is better at that than Murray is."
Your mama says he has a lot of time for Call of Duty now.
Why? Oh, Kyler does. Yeah, that's a good thing. Good for Kyler. Hey, so Kyler, he's like 28, 29. Should he go back to baseball?
Why not?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. He's a good baseball player. First round pick.
We're all about defense now.
Yeah.
Defense and speed.
Yeah. And he as long as that little foot gets fixed.
You know what? Major League Baseball's about we need a 5'6" shortstop. We've lost him. He plays left field now.
Yeah, he was. Freddie Patek is not walking through that door, so let's use Kyler Murray. Here's one of the bummers, by the way, about Kyler Murray. is, and I've thought this for a couple of years, even when I really I wasn't following the team that much, but when I would watch them play.
Would you say it was a little bummer?
Yeah. I would say that he plays a lot like a rookie. He doesn't have much poise. Still, even in his 7th year. There's been 3 or 4 occasions this year, and he hasn't played for 4 weeks, where he has taken penalties. He's taken intentional grounding penalties that are completely uncalled for.
It just seems so like easy to like. It's just so funny because it's just a stereotypical piece of analysis, but it's accurate. But for a guy who has the joking, reputation of not paying attention and not doing his homework, that's exactly how you'd think it would manifest itself, wouldn't it?
Right. Yeah.
I hate to be stereotypical and like cliche it, but that's
yeah. By the way, Tom Brady did that in the Super Bowl, and it didn't even get called. So maybe Kyler's just watching Tom Brady tape from the Super Bowl and saying, "Well, I can do it too." Anyway, great NFL trade deadline day. Great to have the Blues win. What a great night on the St. Louis sports scene last night. Billikens win, Tigers win, Blues win, Cardinals win. It was all good.
Illini rolled over Jackson State.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that more as we go along. And we appreciate you joining us on the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. Wilson got us on the air. Great job by Matthew, as always. And I'm Randy, and we will see you tomorrow. We're always presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.